Hi everyone, we're Mia and Laura from the Students' Union. I'm the Vice President Welfare and Community.
And I am the Student Union President this year.
And we're going to speak today about the importance of women in leadership positions. So during the election campaign last year, I was inspired to run because I'd seen women FTOs before me do an amazing job, which made me think that I'd like to be a part of the future FTO team, with the view of inspiring and empowering others to run.
And I was inspired to run when the Women in Leadership group, who played a vital role in bringing these issues to the fore, highlighted the fact that in LUCU's history, only 5 presidents had ever been self-defining women. And to be honest, many question why this was an issue. It was compared to the lack of representation there is for people with blue eyes and being left-handed. And it was these kind of damaging comments for me that made it clear why women did not just need to run, but they had to. We need to challenge the status quo of the traditionally male-orientated and dominated structures. When we explore the statistics in relation to women, the structural violence that is inflicted upon us the world over is evident.
We make up half of the world's population and yet represent a staggering 70% of the world's poor. 3 million women die each year because of gender-based violence. Only 22 of 196 heads of state across the world are women. The UK is 74th out of 186 in terms of female representation in Parliament, below China, for example, where there is a government policy that coerces professional women to get married, an initiative called Leftover Women. 35% of all women MPs since 1918 were first elected in the last 20 years. Only 10 out of 650 members of the UK Parliament identify as black or Asian women, and only 27 identify as being from a minority ethnic group. 1 in 12 trans women are murdered. 1 in 8 black trans women are murdered. By the age of 26, 49% of trans people have attempted suicide, compared to 6% for cis people. Cis means the sex that you were assigned at birth. In terms of the union, things have changed since election results on Friday. Before there had never been a trans woman on the FTO team, but now there is. On the team next year, the union will have the first openly trans woman in the country on the sabbatical team. Congratulations to Anna Lee. We still have further to diversify though, and we must not be complacent, especially because there have only ever been 2 black women in office.
This inequality goes beyond students as well, as it is also seen in those employed in the higher education. For example, there are only 17 black female professors in the UK. Across all genders, 92.4% of professors are white, whilst only 0.49% are black. With statistics such as this, we need all women to be represented in positions of power, because all too often the patriarchal system under which we live does not allow for us to be protected or for our dreams to be realised. Essentially, our ability to self-actualise is blocked. And I just thought here I'd kind of tell a bit of an anecdotal story for you from my time in leadership. The first time I went to nominations committee, which is a subcommittee of University Council, I offered a cup of tea to everyone, and the chair, the Pro-Chancellor of the university, asked for a cup of tea. I made him one, and I placed it next to him, and he nodded his thanks, and I then sat down. The meeting began, and he looked at me, and he said, "So, are you here to take the minutes?" And needless to say, he was very flustered when he got informed that I was the new Student Union President. And then he called me Sarah halfway through that meeting as well, which made him even more flustered. But you know, it's just the kind of thing where women just aren't seen to be in that position of power, and people don't necessarily realise this, like the unconscious bias there is.
And at university, we cultivate ourselves, for ourselves, the perspectives and identities that we carry with us throughout our lives. It is an institution that teaches us to critically analyse the world in which we live. Without women in representative positions, it tells us that this is how the world works, that we should accept our culturally determined position. If we cannot be what we cannot see, then we need to create a society that has women represented so future generations of self-defining women can, in their youth, believe that they can affect change. Gender imbalances need to be challenged and addressed. Feminism is not about women wanting more rights than men. It is about women having the same access to their human rights as men do. It's about having a say in the policies that will dictate our lives. It's about creating a more caring and compassionate society.
And if there was ever a time to become an activist and affect change, it's now. Climate change is becoming even more threatening to human development, and world leaders continue to stand idle and argue instead about where to invade next. In regards to economic disparity, the richest 2% have more wealth than half of the rest of the world. In regard to higher education in the UK, the decision to attend university is becoming an increasingly difficult one as fees increase. However, we must not be disheartened. For example, young women and girls from across the world are currently gathering in New York for the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women to conduct the 20-year review on the Beijing Platform for Action. This is a historic roadmap signed by 189 governments 20 years ago that sets the agenda for realising women's rights. The focus of many of those women is ensuring that the voices of women, young women and girls are heard in the debates that will shape the coming decades. The path to sustainable development and achievement of a 50-50 planet by 2030 in terms of gender equality. And as we speak, there are also women and non-binary activists occupying Senate House in London in order to reclaim International Women's Day. They want to remind us that its origins are in a socialist celebration of working women and the fight for equal rights. We stand in solidarity with all of these women pushing for social change. And in terms of Lancaster, this year the Union has, alongside the Women's Liberation Officer, the Ethnic Minorities Officer, and the organisers of this year's Lou Radford and Vagina Monologues, created a union-wide campaign called Lancaster Shouts Back. This is being used as an umbrella for all of the positive action taking place around empowering women in a whole range of areas, building on that already started by the Women in Leadership group. For example, a video has been made with LA1 TV about women who inspire the student body. This highlighted a whole range of women, from people's mums to Emily Pankhurst, Frida Kahlo to Maya Angelou. Furthermore, 6 out of the 8 newly elected JCR presidents are self-defining women, and it genuinely seems as if we have reached a turning point in our history, one empowering a new generation of student leaders that will more accurately reflect our demographics. Women make up 51% of the university's population this year, so that's why we think it's so important.
We need men on side so we can work together to create a more representative structure. What must be remembered is that students are not customers or clients, but partners in the decisions the university makes and should be treated so. And this doesn't just mean that we all need to run for positions in leadership, but it means we need to support those women who do and empower ourselves through the individual talents we all have. We also need to engage with the voting process to elect individuals into these positions who will represent our needs and push for social change. Furthermore, as it's a general election year, we need to ensure our voices as students and women are heard. We must start using our political voice. We must empower ourselves. And as much as some may try to dispute it, as Margaret Mead said, every time we liberate a woman, we liberate a man.
Happy International Women's Day.